It was past midnight when Daniel saw her, his boss, Amelia Ross, the same woman who ruled the office with unshakable confidence, now standing barefoot on a dark street corner, tears mixing with rain, her mascara streaked, her voice trembling as she argued with a taxi driver who refused to take her home, and that was the night everything changed. Daniel Miller was 32, a single father to a 6-year-old girl named Sophie. Life hadn't been kind lately. His wife had passed away 3 years ago after a long illness, leaving him with a broken heart and a little girl who still asked, "When is mommy coming back?" He worked as an assistant manager at a marketing firm, long hours, modest pay, but enough to keep the lights on and Sophie in school. His boss, Amelia Ross, was known for being distant, perfectionist, and untouchable. She was the type who never smiled unless she had to, young, successful, and rumored to be heartless, but Daniel had always seen something else behind those cold eyes, something tired, something lonely. And that Friday, Daniel had been driving home after picking Sophie up from her friend's house when he saw the figure in the rain. At first, he didn't recognize her. The same boss who wore tailored suits and designer heels was now stumbling, soaked, clutching her purse as she tried to hail a cab. He pulled over immediately. "Miss Ross? Are you okay?" Her eyes widened in shock. "Daniel? What are you doing here?" He offered her his jacket, but she just laughed bitterly. "I think I made a fool of myself tonight." The smell of alcohol was strong, but so was her sadness. When a group of men nearby started whispering and moving closer, Daniel didn't hesitate. He stepped in front of her protectively. "Come on, let's get you home safely." Amelia wanted to argue, pride flickering in her eyes, but the look in his said she was safe. She nodded, shivering. "Thank you, Daniel." He helped her into his car, drove her home, made sure she got inside safely, even left water by her bedside before quietly leaving. That was it. No expectations. No judgment. Just kindness. The next morning, Daniel entered the office bracing himself for awkwardness. He expected her to ignore what happened, maybe even pretend it never did, but when Amelia walked in, something was different. She looked straight at him and smiled, genuinely. "Thank you for last night." The entire office went silent. Amelia Ross, smiling. Daniel tried to brush it off. "It's nothing, Miss Ross. Anyone would have done the same." She tilted her head slightly. "No, Daniel. Not anyone." From that day, things started to shift. Amelia began talking to him more, not just about work, but about life. She learned about Sophie, about how he made pancakes shaped like hearts every Sunday, how he worked 2 jobs to give his daughter a happy life. Sometimes, she'd pass by his desk and whisper, "You're doing great, you know that?" It surprised him how soft her voice could be when she wasn't wearing her boss armor. One evening, she asked if he'd join her for coffee after work. He hesitated, but she smiled, a real one, and said, "It's just coffee, Daniel. I owe you that much." Over that coffee, they talked like old friends. She confessed how lonely her life felt despite success. Her parents barely called, and her so-called friends only came around when they needed favors. Daniel listened quietly, and for the first time, Amelia felt seen. Weeks passed. Sophie adored Amelia. She called her Miss Boss Lady. Amelia often stopped by their small apartment, bringing books or art supplies for Sophie, staying for dinner sometimes. It felt natural, almost like a family, but life isn't that kind without a test point. One afternoon, rumors spread in the office, whispers that Daniel was only getting special treatment because he was charming the boss. When Daniel heard it, his heart sank. He didn't want pity. He didn't want shortcuts. He confronted Amelia. "People are talking. I can't be the reason you lose respect." Her eyes glistened with frustration. "Let them talk. I know the truth." But Daniel shook his head. "You've worked too hard for your position. I can't let my presence ruin that." He requested a transfer to another branch. Amelia's voice broke. "Don't go. Please." But he did. Days turned into weeks. The office felt empty for Amelia, though she'd never admit it out loud. She missed his laughter, his quiet strength, Sophie's giggles in the background during his calls. Meanwhile, Daniel missed her more than he'd expected. He'd catch himself checking his phone, hoping for a message that never came, until one night, his phone rang. It was Amelia. Her voice was trembling. "Daniel, I need you." Her company was in chaos. A major deal had fallen through, and she was being blamed. Daniel didn't hesitate. He drove straight to her office. When he walked in, she was sitting on the floor, surrounded by papers, crying silently. He didn't say a word. He just sat beside her. Minutes passed before she whispered, "I thought I had everything under control, until you left." Daniel looked at her. No walls, no pride, just a woman trying to hold herself together. He gently wiped her tears. "You don't have to be perfect, Amelia. You just have to be real. And that night, under the dim office light, she finally leaned on someone not as a boss, but as a woman who had found someone who saw her heart. From then, everything changed again, but this time, for the better. Amelia apologized to the staff, rebuilt her reputation, and publicly credited Daniel for his integrity and support. She offered him his position back, not because she pitied him, but because he earned it. They worked side by side again, this time as equals. Sophie would often run into Amelia's arms after work, shouting, "Did you bring cookies, Miss Boss Lady?" They laughed. They cooked together. They became a family, slowly, gently, beautifully. One night, after tucking Sophie into bed, Daniel found Amelia standing on the balcony, looking at the stars. That he joined her quietly. "You know," she whispered, "that night in the rain, I thought my life was falling apart. But it turns out, it was just beginning." He smiled softly. "Sometimes, we meet the right person at the wrong time." She turned to him, eyes glistening, "And sometimes, the right person saves you before you even realize you needed saving." Then she did something she'd never done before. She reached for his hand. The night air was cool, but his heart was warm. Months later, they officially became a family. Amelia wasn't just Sophie's Miss Boss Lady anymore, she was Mom. Daniel often looked back on that rainy night, realizing something powerful. Sometimes, kindness isn't just about helping someone. It's about changing two lives, yours and theirs, forever. Life has a way of bringing people together in the most unexpected moments. Maybe your act of kindness today will change someone's tomorrow. If you believe in love, redemption, and second chances, drop it in the comments below. What did you think of Daniel and Amelia's story? Have you ever helped someone who ended up changing your life too? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and if you love emotional, heart-touching stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. You're watching Be Kind Increase Script, always, where stories heal hearts and remind us that kindness always wins.